You could literally eat pizza, hamburgers, burritos, you name it, on your diet and still achieve a lot of fat loss. You could even get into the best shape of your life eating 2 pizza slices every single day. Hey guys, my name is Nash. This is Nash D Fitness. I run a private training studio here in the GTA in Canada, and today we're going to be talking about how to lose fat from home with 0 exercise. Did you know that in Canada, 40% of the population still works from home? And of that 40%, half of the people are overweight. Well, today I'm gonna give you the secret on how you can be the leanest you've ever been in your life, all without ever stepping foot in a gym or doing any type of exercise. Even if you're planted at home, working from home all day on your chair. And let's be real, I'm sure some of you are actually still in bed. Leave a comment below if this is you. This is a safe space, I swear I won't say anything. Okay, so to get started, the number one most important thing, or the most crucial thing that you can do, is to be in a calorie deficit. You achieve a calorie deficit by doing one or both of these things. The first thing is eating less calories on a daily basis than your body needs to maintain your weight. And the second thing is exercising enough to burn these excess calories more than what your body needs on a daily basis. Lucky for you guys, we're taking exercise right out of the equation and just totally focusing on the diet and how we can achieve that calorie deficit and stay below maintenance calories. Before we start, there are first a couple of important terms that we need to know. The first term being macronutrients. And I'm sure you guys have heard the term macros that gets thrown around out there. But in more depth, what it actually is 3 things here: fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. See, these 3 things make up what macros really are, macronutrients. You can find these macros in almost all foods and drinks that you probably already have on a daily basis. But the goal of this video is to better understand how we can tailor these macros to your diet, and then in turn use all that knowledge and all that daily caloric intake to make sure that we're in a deficit and actually burning fat. The second term that's really important, I already mentioned prior, which was maintenance calories. This is how many calories your body needs on a daily basis to maintain your current weight. Obviously, we're not trying to stay at that maintenance number, but the whole point is to find a calorie number that's just below maintenance that we can keep and sustain over a longer period of time for fat loss. This number will vary depending on different things like your age, your height, weight, gender, stuff like that. But the most important thing to understand is that we find something that's tailored to you. We find a calorie number that suits your body and your genetics. And another thing we have to consider is what's your total daily energy expenditure. So this is TDEE for short. I'll talk about this more in a different video because again, we're gonna assume that for this video in particular, you're not exercising at all. So we're gonna put that TDEE at 0. And like I mentioned before, genetics play a huge role in this. So depending on your genetics, you might have a higher metabolism, you might have a lower metabolism. So for example, if you and a friend were gonna do this and implement a calorie deficit for either of you, as much as you guys might be the same age, height, weight, and all that stuff, it might be a little bit off, right? So if your friend has a higher metabolism, they might need more calories than you might need. So since we can't really compare and assume that your body stats will be similar to someone else's, how do we figure out what the right calorie amount is for you? Well, that's why we need to experiment. This is one of the most crucial steps to figure out what your maintenance calories are. And the best way to do this is to simply track your weight. I don't know if I mentioned this already, but please make sure you have a weight scale at home. I feel like everyone needs to have one, and if you don't already, just go on Amazon, type in body fat weight scale, whatever, and you'll find some really good ones for cheap. In my free fat loss guide on my website, I actually talk about websites that you can go to kind of expedite this process and come up with a close enough number. But for this video, we're gonna do it manually because in my opinion, it's the best possible way to get the best possible results. So how do we do this? Well, first, we start by checking your weight in the morning, preferably after a bowel movement, because that shit can screw up your numbers, literally. Also note the time, as that is such an important variable. If you check your weight one morning at say 8 a.m. and then the next morning you check it at 10 a.m., you're gonna have a little bit of variance there, and for this to work properly, we're gonna need the same weigh-in time every single morning. Now, once you have that number, just go about eating what you would typically eat on a daily basis. Try not to change much over the next like 2 to 3 days. So 3 days is what we really need. Just eat the same amount of calories, try to eat the same foods, finish your dinner at the same time, have your breakfast at the same time. The more consistent you can make day 1, day 2, and day 3, the more likely you're gonna get a number that's gonna suit you and be as accurate as possible. And also be sure to add up the calories of everything you're eating. I like to use MyFitnessPal as an app. There's other apps that exist now on the App Store or Google Play Store. But the whole point is to add these calories up so that we have a finite number at the end of the 3 days that's equal in calories, equal in fats, proteins, and carbs. Now, once you have 2 to 3 data points, What we're gonna do next is we're gonna compare each and every one of them. If the weight is going up, for example, what we then wanna do is repeat the 2 to 3 day process. But this time, again, you've recorded your calories. Look at that number and try to decrease by 100 or 200. This can be achieved by, for example, looking at, say, for example, you're having a cup of rice, dropping that portion from a cup to maybe 3/4 of a cup. That should be about 100 and 200 calories. Repeat the process, and hopefully by doing that, you'll actually find your maintenance calories. Now, if the weight is already dropping from your first 2 to 3 day test, well, then you skipped the whole maintenance step. You're already in a deficit. Congrats. And if obviously the weight's plateaued and it's the same, well, here's your maintenance calories. So in the prior step, if you did lose the weight initially, just add 100 or 200 to the top of that, and there's your maintenance calories. But the whole goal is, once you found your maintenance calories, is to keep it in that deficit. So if you've already found that deficit from the get-go, great. Just keep doing that until you keep losing weight. And if you're at maintenance, again, all you gotta do is drop by 100, by 200, and you should start seeing some fat loss and some progress on the scale. And this next point here, I do talk about more in my fat loss guide, but what happens when the weight stops going down? I'm sure many of you have had this issue in the past, but what actually happens is the weight that you've come down to is now your maintenance, right? Because again, you now weigh less, so your body needs less calories to maintain your weight. So how do we solve this? Guess what? We just drop it by another 100 or 200. We keep doing that over however long a period you want to see the results that you need. And it's simple as that. You just have to keep dropping 100 or 200 every single time. And again, the most important part here is recognizing that you're actually in another maintenance phase or a plateau, right? So if you follow the steps correctly and you're making sure all the variables are accounted for, then you most likely are. But if sometimes your weigh-ins are different, or you're not checking your weight after a bowel movement, or you're checking it before a bowel movement, you're gonna get too many variables, and you might end up dropping your calories too soon. And again, yeah, sure, you lose weight even faster, but you end up losing a lot of muscle mass as well, and I don't think that's the physique that we're trying to go for here. Now you might be asking me, Nash, what do I eat? Well, the thing is, it really doesn't matter. I'm being serious when I say this here. You could literally eat pizza, hamburgers, burritos, you name it, on your diet and still achieve a lot of fat loss. You could even get into the best shape of your life eating 2 pizza slices every single day. But, and obviously there is a but, you need to understand portion control. You need to know how many calories these foods have, so that it actually properly fits into your daily caloric limit, right? So obviously I'm not suggesting that you eat 4 pizza slices, 2 Big Macs, sushi platter, whatever, every single day. Rather, incorporate these foods into a healthy lifestyle, sporadically sprinkling some, outside eating, nights with the family and friends, dinners and stuff like that, without, sacrificing the meat and potatoes of your diet, which should be, healthy proteins, some good vitamins and minerals, and enough volume in your diet, meaning that your foods are calorie dense enough so that they actually take up room in your stomach, so you don't feel hungry when you're dieting. Because that is the biggest obstacle when you're dieting. If you're feeling hungry and you're trying to keep your calorie limit at, say, 1800, but it's 6 p.m. and you hit that and now your stomach's rumbling and stuff, well, then what you need to do is, again, fill yourself up. Use stuff like veggies. It's a great tool, a bowl of salad, all leafy greens, because it'll take up room in your stomach without adding too much calories. So I'll run you through an example. Let's say, for example, that my maintenance calories are 2,000 and my goal is to get to 1,800 calories. So if I wanted to eat pizza in my diet, which say I did, I could probably get 2 slices a day. I could probably do that. Be about 600 calories. That would leave me with 1,200. Now, how I would approach this is I have 1,200 calories remaining. I'm gonna fill that up with some rice, a nice protein source, chicken, fish, could be turkey, could be beef, some fruits, apple, banana, pears, kiwis, whatever. Personally, I like blueberries. But the whole point is to figure out a diet that, again, pizza, I love. I'm gonna add it into my diet because I enjoy it, but I'm being reasonable and understanding that I can only fit in 2. Sure, I could maybe add in a third. That'd only get me to 900 calories. But the whole point is, as much as I know I can get fat loss from that diet, it's not gonna be really great for my health. And this brings me to another quick point. Make sure you're also taking multivitamins or some supplements to make sure that you're getting enough of the healthy stuff. If you're not getting enough vitamins or minerals, sure, you might look great, but you won't really feel great. You're gonna be lethargic, you're gonna be tired, you're gonna be sleepy, maybe a little bit moody. We wanna make sure that you look as best as you possibly can and feel great at the same time. Now, how about if we started to take into account exercise and potentially adding some workouts? Well, that's gonna be a topic for another video, unfortunately. What I want you guys to take away from this video is to make sure that when you come up with a diet plan to achieve the body of your dreams, that you don't necessarily have to sacrifice rice, all your favorite foods. It's all about understanding what calorie amount works for you and then fine-tuning your diet enough where there's a balance between foods that you enjoy and foods that are actually good for you. And again, together, doing this, you'll achieve the body of your dreams. And at the same time, you'll want to keep it up and you'll love the enjoyment and the process of getting there. If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like, please subscribe. You can also follow me on Instagram at NashtyFitness. And if you guys want to learn more about fat loss, like I mentioned, I have a free fat loss guide. I'll link it in the description below. You can go and download that. It'll just talk about everything we've covered in this video, maybe some other stuff that I'll kind of get into future videos. But I encourage you guys, whether through everything we learned in this video or that guide, try this yourself, and trust me, you're gonna see so much change sooner than you think. Thanks again for watching. Please share it with your friends and family. How about we all get into the best shape of our lives? How does that sound? Sounds good to me.